Hello and welcome to the Kirklees Gaming Central. My name is Charles Joshua G, and today we're going to be reviewing Obsidian Entertainment's latest release, The Outer Worlds. So if you happen to take a journey among the stars, you might find yourself on the frontier of humanity's farthest colony, Halcyon, where prosperity awaits you, but only if you work for it. Based in the Halcyon cluster, aptly named after the brightest star, The Outer Worlds is a single-player RPG that needs no introduction, as right from the very announcement of the project, players and Fallout fans alike were immediately drawn to the project, and it's another Fallout-esque game, brought to you by the same team that brought you Fallout New Vegas. To say some were excited would be an understatement, myself included, to be honest. You wake aboard a giant vessel known as the Hope, where humanity's future colonists were put into hibernation to avoid aging, as it was planned to take 10 years to reach Halcyon. This, however, didn't exactly go to plan, leaving the ship stranded on the edge, floating adrift in space. This whole ordeal was being swept under the rug by the board for bureaucratic reasons. Phineas Wells, however, a mad scientist hell-bent on saving the colonists of the Hope, is caught almost immediately upon entering the ship, so seemingly picks a colonist at random, which so happens to be you. Once you've been chosen by Wells, you will enter the character customization screen, a staple of any good quality RPG anyone knows, where you allocate your attributes, your skills and your aptitude. When first coming to the screen, I was pleasantly surprised by the explanations for assigning what each point would do. To each attribute, what it would boost to my skills, the skill tree would nicely group into similar skills, so in lower levels you'd upgrade 3 skills at once. But in later levels, once you pass 50 points in a certain skill group, you can pick and choose which skills would benefit your build more. Aptitude is also a nice nod back to the GOAT test from Fallout, and picking certain aptitude would boost the stat further and give you special dialogue options depending on what you pick. Your character appearance, while certainly a step up in graphical fidelity, is somewhat lacking in my eyes, as I always seem to run into the same problem of same face syndrome. I can never really create a character that looks drastically different to my last, however. This is only a minimal problem, however, but you know, you only ever see your character while you're in the inventory screen, so it's kind of a missed opportunity. And you also don't get to go into third person, so you never really see your character aside from that. When I was dropped in the game world, I felt I'd been dropped into a very familiar world, almost as if I've been there before. The game was very quick to offer tutorials on controls, and the setting was quite warm, despite the reality of it being somewhat hostile. From the get-go, The Outer Worlds hits the ground running with stellar writing and comedy to boot, and proves that Obsidian Entertainment knows exactly what they're doing when it comes to RPGs. After my first encounter with the Marauders, learning the ropes of a new slow motion mechanic, a smooth new replacement of VATS, I'd gained a set of Marauder armor, which I adorned without a second thought, as any good RPG player would. However, when I reached the town of Edgewater, I quickly learned that I was in for a treat. The townsfolk were commenting on my choice in attire. This was one of the many points in the game where I fell in love with The Outer Worlds, as those little attentions to detail go a long way in really immersing you into the game. Furthermore, the dialogue options offer a plethora of quick-witted responses that you can use to better your weapon than using a laser rifle, for example. I was able to save myself from many a conflict by just talking to the enemy rather than often engaging with them. And they often became friends with me after the fights. And this was in an effort to become the almighty saviour of the Halcyon system and get good stead with all the factions. Gone are the days of the 4-option dialogue wheel with simplistic choices such as good, bad, question and sarcastic option. We're given the good old long list of dialogue options to choose from, where you can really project yourself through your character. Or alternatively, you can be the biggest SOB this side of the frontier. Either works. An example of the dialogue option that I like the most later on in the game, you can really feel that the character is starting to lose it with the people that they're talking to. Plus, it's hilarious. An example of this would be where I was offered to eat a scientific experiment, and he told him he was going to stab someone if he was offered another science experiment. Although the game may be a single player, you're not entirely alone in this journey. Companions can join you on your excursions around the Halcyon system, and have even got their own developed backstories and storylines that you can choose to follow it with their further quests to further bond with your chosen companion. My personal favourite companions were Ellie and Vicar Max, due to the fact that one of them is a badass space pirate and the other a priest teaching the word of the law, but oftentimes dipping back to his past of being a criminal and going to prison. With companions, you have a unique feature that I haven't seen in many games, if any games, to choose how close you want your companions to follow you. So for a shotgun rush, you'd want someone to follow you close. But if you were to use someone as a sniper, you'd preferably want them at a safe distance for maximum efficiency. You can also choose whether or not they're aggressive once you've shot an enemy. So you can have them charge in as soon as you shoot an enemy, or you can have them stay back and you can pick and choose which enemy you want them to shoot. They also have their own abilities that can be activated, such as an ultimate move, where they deal out a load of damage. Ellie's, for example, is a laser pistol where she fans it and shoots one guy to smithereens, whereas Max likes to get up close and personal with his shotgun with a nice quip included. However, I feel that the bond between the player and the companion is severed at a point in the game, as after their side quests are completed, they don't often offer more story-wise, and I feel as if I'm still asking for more of a connection with the characters that are offered, because they're really good. But what we do get in terms of story is perfectly executed. Factions and corporations inhabit the many planets you'll be travelling to whilst on your journeys, with their own uniqueness to them that differentiates them from one another, such as Spacious Choice, who you meet first in Edgewater, who offer a wide range of items, often of a cheap quality. While quick to break, they're often easily replaced due to how inexpensive the items actually are. Anti-Cleos, they offer up a wide range of pharmaceuticals, often of questionable backgrounds, and many more factions for you to discover. The big boss, however, calling the shots, is the Board, the bureaucrats of space, who often own all the corporations in the Halcyon with a tight grip. The main goal of the game is to overthrow the Board and be able to run the Halcyon system in a less authoritarian manner and release your fellow Hope colonists from stasis. Or if, being the good guy isn't your kind of thing, you could always side with the corporations for the alternate ending. There are many alternative endings within the game, one for even being stupid with high charisma, if you wish to check that out for yourself. Graphically, the game is a delight. From the various flora and fauna of the Emerald Vale to the harsh but very pretty Monarch with its high arching trees. Hell, even the cold metal interior of the Groundbreaker is a marvel to see with its many neon lights blasting you in the eyes as soon as you walk through the door with advertisements and shop signs. It's really a delight. The game clearly takes a lot of inspiration from the 50s and 60s era of retro futurism and a bit of steampunk too, which was an instant hit with me because that's one of my favourite aesthetics that games can go with. Now, is it the prettiest game that I've ever laid my eyes on? No, not by a long shot. But what it does, it excels in, and definitely feels like an upgrade from what we've had with the creation engine it's possible of ever putting out. Not to discredit the hard-working artists over at Bethesda, but it really does feel like a step up. The Outer Worlds feels like a breath of fresh air in a very stale market, and it really couldn't have come at a better time, to be honest. With the increase of pay-to-win and loot boxes galore that the AAA industry is so fond of at the moment, it shows that indie companies are possible of putting out the best work I've seen in recent history without the need for excess microtransactions upon a full game. And it shows, as I unregrettably spent 15 hours straight on the game as soon as it came out. Not that I would recommend doing such a thing, but I feel as if it gave me that escapism and feeling that I haven't felt since I got Fallout 3 for the first time. It truly is a must-play for any RPG fan. The game was even nominated for a Game of the Year award at the Game Awards, alongside big games like Death Stranding, Resident Evil 2 Remake, and Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. So while it didn't win any awards at the Game Awards, its nomination speaks to its quality and the experience that people have with the game. So it really is one to go and pick up if you haven't picked it up yet, as it's fully deserving of all the praise that it's receiving. If you're interested in the Outer Worlds and haven't picked it up yet, I would wholeheartedly recommend it for you. Or even give it a go with the Xbox Game Pass if you're not fully sold on it yet. So that's all from us at Kirklees Gaming Central. I hope you've enjoyed this review, and join us for our next discussion on the biggest announcements from the Game Awards. Take care, my name is Joshua G, and this is the Kirklees Gaming Central.